It is fair to say Caitlyn Clark lived up to the expectations after she was drafted as the #1 pick, helping the Indiana Fever to the playoffs, selling out arenas, breaking league records, and claiming the Roddy. The 22-year-old ticked the right boxes. But what not much on the surface was her impact on the squad, and Lexi Hull is here to offer a glimpse. On Sunday on The Young Man and the Three, Hull came to the fore to share what she loves about the changes Clark brought in the gameplay and how she handled that. "I definitely got passes and I tried to finish, but I wasn't expecting to get all," Hull begins. "Now it's like, okay, every cut I have, every cut I make, every fast break I run, like I have a real opportunity to get the ball, which definitely took me a second." Entering the W holding the record for third most all-time assists, Clark was aware of her strength and she did not let it dwindle. During the game against the Dallas Wings, Clark finished with 19 assists, having the highest W record for a single game ever. She then broke the record for most assists in a single season, 337. At the receiving end of this was Hull for a large part, who built on the 22-year-old's passes, though new, after noting the potential they held. "And I really just took one of those to get my head around, oh, she's all the way down to the other end of the floor. And she could still make the pass to me down at the block at the cent. So I mean, it's been awesome, and I think it's so fun to be able to know that you're not just cutting to cut. You're cutting with the possibility of actually making a really cool play. So that makes it that much more worthwhile," Hull stated. Hull had a career high of 22 points this season during a game against the Seattle Storm. The assist for the first two-pointer came for Caitlyn Clark and then about two more. The 22-year-old finished the night with game-high 9 assists. "Honestly, I was more excited about her passing ability than her scoring," Hull had admitted previously, while revealing there is a lot of confidence from her, and she capitalized on it. So the Fever rookie's unexpected passes did prepare Hull to be more focused. Meanwhile, Clark also has been appreciative of Hull's game. When Hull hit her career-high 22 points against the Seattle Storm this season, the Logo 3 Queen was floored by her abilities. In the game, the 25-year-old hit 6 out of 7 threes. So when the game ended in their favor and the Fever won by a 92-75 margin, Clark took X to share her happiness for Hull. "This is now a Lexi Hull fan account," Clark tweeted. That was the first time when Christy Sides had given a chance to Hull during the opening quarter itself, and she along with Clark combined for 48.91% of the team's total points. To top that, they had 9 out of the 15 three-pointers. Indeed, a special coordination between them on the court. Hull ended up being a regular on the Fever roster, with the team going 6-3 with her in the starting lineup. She also peaked with 63.2% from beyond the arc post-Olympic break. Clark was aware of the efforts, commending her for covering the court, chasing the best players, and being the defensive anchor for the team. "I think it's added a whole other dynamic for us," she said, speaking of her growth in three-pointers as well. Indiana Fever sharpshooter Caitlyn Clark has been a busy woman in 2024. After leading the Iowa Hawkeyes to the Final Four during the NCAA tournament, Clark was drafted by the Indiana Fever only weeks later. With the Fever, Clark had one of the most impressive rookie campaigns in the history of the WNBA. She broke the league's single-season record for assists and became the first rookie to ever record a triple-double, which she did twice. The impressive season culminated with Clark winning the WNBA Kia Rookie of the Year award and being named to the WNBA First Team, which recognizes the 5 best players in any given season. After nearly a full year of playing basketball, Clark finally has some time off. She spent her off-season attending galas and golfing, and recently even got the chance to meet up with her old teammates from her Iowa days to catch up. Together with former teammates Gabby Marshall and Kate Martin, Clark appeared on an episode of the Fresh Talk podcast, and Clark got honest about what it's been like having time away from the court. "Just relaxing," Clark said on the episode. "It's been nice to have a little break, and it was a fun season, but I've been crossing off the days to get back to Iowa City. I'm happy to be here with everybody." As refreshing as her time away from the sport seems to be, there's a chance that Clark will be back to the sport sooner rather than later, with reports circulating that she is considering joining the unrivaled 3-on-3 off-season league, which Martin has already signed on for. In a banner year for women's professional sports, athletes who dominate their game are reaping the financial benefits. The WNBA is a leading example. Last month, it wrapped up a historic season that notched all-time viewership and attendance records while racking up brand deals and corporate sponsorships for its players along the way. On Sunday, the league will hold its draft lottery for the 2025 season. Many of the WNBA's young stars like Caitlyn Clark and Angel Reese brought deals with them from their playing days in college, including name, image, and likeness agreements that became endorsements with such companies as Nike, Reebok, and Gatorade. Players of different backgrounds landed a variety of other endorsement deals with companies like CarMax and State Farm. But for all those enjoying their newfound riches, there are still some players who are being left out. The WNBA recently partnered with Kim Kardashian's underwear brand Skims, which featured women of color as well as LGBTQ+ players in its ads. The company received pushback, however, for excluding masculine-presenting athletes in its May campaign. Not the poppies of the league being forgotten again, Phoenix Mercury's Natasha Cloud posted on X after Skims Fits Everybody campaign dropped. Two-time All-Star Natasha Howard of the Dallas Wings also criticized the campaign, saying it felt like a smack for the league's more masculine-presenting players, and that it is absolutely harder for Black LGBTQ+ athletes to get brand deals. I feel like a lot of people don't want to see queer or lesbian people on the face of anything, Howard told the Associated Press in a phone interview. Skims did not respond to requests for comment. Cloud and Howard decided to forge their own path. Both women scored partnerships with Woxer, a Latina and LGBTQ+ owned women's boxer brand that offers a line designed for gender nonconforming customers. Miami-based Alexandra Fuente, Woxer's founder, said that working with Howard, Cloud, and Las Vegas Aces Kirsten Bell was just a great match, and the company, but for mainstream brands, partnering with athletes who don't fit the traditional mold in today's increasingly polarized cultural landscape fraught with anti-diversity backlash creates this collective risk that some brands are unwilling to take, according to Ketra Armstrong, University of Michigan professor of sport management and director of the Center for Race and Ethnicity in Sport. Many brands are middle of the road and want to be safe and don't want to offend other pockets of their consumers, Armstrong said. Risa Isard, assistant professor of sport management at the University of Connecticut, analyzed online articles from ESPN, CBS Sports and Sports Illustrated from the 2020 WNBA season, and her peer-reviewed study found that Black WNBA athletes received less media attention than white WNBA athletes. Additionally, Black athletes who did not present in traditionally feminine ways received the least amount of media attention, while white athletes have the freedom to express their gender in a variety of ways and still capture media interest. Media attention matters because it shapes athletes' perceived advertising value for brand deals, and is especially important for WNBA players since their salaries are much lower than NBA players and they instead depend on endorsements and playing abroad off-season despite safety concerns to pay the bills, Isard said. But brands are missing the mark when they overlook Black LGBTQ+ women, said University of Massachusetts Amherst sport management professor Ione Keaton, who studies the intersection of race and gender identity. Like some of its players, the WNBA's fan base also holds fluid gender identities, plus companies may underestimate how much consumers with different identities admire and relate to LGBTQ+ players, Keaton said. Sponsors and brands are way behind the curve on this. Brianna Scurry, goalkeeper for the legendary squad that won the 1999 World Cup, was one of the only openly gay out players of her time. Scurry, a two-time Olympic gold medalist, said sponsorship opportunities in women's soccer have improved significantly since her time playing. After making a crucial penalty kick save that helped cinch her team's World Cup win, Scurry said she thought for sure that I would have a landslide of sponsorship deals, but I just didn't. At first she thought it was because she was a goalkeeper. And then it dawned on me, sadly, that it may have to do with my color and/or my sexual orientation, she said. I didn't have any other explanation for it. Today, women's soccer has come a long way, according to the former Washington Spirit assistant coach. When Scurry played, she was the only player of color with a starting role. Now, Sophia Smith, Trinity Rodman, and Mallory Swanson make up the U.S. Olympic team's formidable front three, and Scurry said she saw several advertising and marketing campaigns reflect that star power. And endorsement opportunities that evaded Scurry 25 years ago? They're now beginning to surface. I am having quite a bit of success now that I didn't have then, she said, which makes her hopeful that sponsorship opportunities for Black LGBTQ+ female athletes also will continue to grow. Women's sports is now seen as a business proposition, Scurry said. No longer is it a charity. For anyone who questions the marketing potential and social capital of Black LGBTQ+ athletes, Keaton added, they need only glance at the comment sections of their Instagram posts, which are filled with fire emojis, heart eyes emojis, and, where'd you get those shoes? The Los Angeles Sparks have been going through some tough times. They have not been to the playoffs since 2020, marking the franchise's longest playoff drought as well as the currently longest one in the WNBA. After the 2024 draft, things seemed to improve in Los Angeles. The Sparks may have lost out on the number 1 pick, but they got Cameron Brink and Rickea Jackson, 2 incredibly talented players. Then, Brink tore her ACL and ended up only playing 15 games in her rookie season. The Sparks were quickly back at the bottom of the league, winning only 8 games. Losing like that is rough, but there is a silver lining. Losing for several seasons in a row dramatically increases a team's chance to win the draft lottery. Winning the lottery is the one thing that can make losing more bearable, and the Sparks had excellent chances to come out on top this time around. Only the Dallas Wings, who missed the playoffs and owned the right to swap picks with the Chicago Sky, had slightly better odds. The Sparks were not granted the relief of winning the lottery. Dallas got the number 1 pick in the 2025 WNBA draft, and with that, dibs on Paige Bueckers if she enters the draft. Calling the team with the 2nd overall pick the biggest losers of the draft lottery may seem odd, and to be clear, this has nothing to do with the players who will be available when the Sparks make their selection. They will still land a great young prospect. It simply is because this is already the 2nd year in a row the Sparks had their eyes on the number 1 pick only to have it snatched away at the last second. And this time, it happened after the team put together the worst regular season record in franchise history. In 2024, the Sparks got great players but missed out on the chance to draft a generational talent who dramatically increased the Indiana Fever's popularity. Paige Bueckers could potentially have a similar impact to Caitlyn Clark, and the Sparks narrowly missed out on her as well. Losing out on Bueckers may hurt even more than not landing Clark because of the players already on the roster this time around. Bueckers would have been the perfect fit with Cameron Brink and Rickea Jackson, giving the Sparks a big 3 and the perfect foundation for future success. Several Sparks players were visibly shocked when they officially got the number 2 pick, and understandably so. Getting this close to winning the lottery twice only to miss out must hurt. Indiana Fever new head coach Stephanie White didn't hold back when discussing her team's ambitions for the upcoming WNBA season, echoing the words of star Caitlyn Clark. After the franchise landed their first playoff berth since 2016 last season, they want more. In an interview with The Fan, Indianapolis, White was asked what is the next level for the Fever. It's competing for championships, she said. The expectation was always to be competing for championships, and I think now we have an opportunity again to be doing that. Repeating her words from her presentation, White assured that, while the changes won't happen overnight, Fever can build a strong team with Aaliyah Boston, probably the best center that we've seen in our league, and Clark, a generational talent, as the backbone. You think about building around those two. Championship is the expectation. You compete for championships year in and year out, she said. Clark, on the other hand, had shared similar thoughts during her participation in the Pro-Am golf event at the Annika a few days ago. Our goal last year was to reach the playoffs, and we accomplished that, but now we want to be championship contenders, Clark told reporters. I think we're putting the pieces together to make that happen, hopefully adding some free agents. You can feel the excitement throughout the organization, the city, and our fans. I can't wait to get back out there. Honestly, I wish we had a game tomorrow. The Indiana Fever are undergoing a significant transformation. Apart from White's return as a head coach, the franchise has new leadership in President Kelly Krauskopf and General Manager Amber Cox. So, it would be interesting to see which players join the team. Apart from Boston and Clark, Fever has enjoyed the talents of guards Lexi Hull, one of Clark's best friends, and Kelsey Mitchell. However, Mitchell is entering the free agency period and there's a lot of questions about her future, despite Fever's desire of resigning her. Everyone is familiar with Caitlyn Clark by now. That's because Clark completely changed the landscape of women's basketball in going from her legendary college career at Iowa to becoming WNBA Rookie of the Year with the Indiana Fever. But with Clark back in the building, reuniting with former coach Lisa Bluder, to watch the Hawkeyes, the timing was appropriate for a piece to be released honoring her Iowa tenure. Which is exactly what happened Sunday through a package from Fox College Hoops. The video edit featured pre-recorded comments from some of the biggest names in the sport. A list that included UConn coach Gino Auriemma, Huskies star Paige Bueckers, USC standout Juju Watkins, and current Iowa coach Jan Jensen. Nearly everyone involved praised the impact that Clark has had on the game, but remarks from Bueckers stood out given she seemed to also understand what comes along with that. Caitlyn brought so much new attention to the rise in women's college basketball and the WNBA and women's sports in general. I feel like the weight of the world is on her shoulders. And she just has this heavy burden to carry, and she does it with grace and humility, Bueckers said. Paige can probably relate to some of what she had to say about Caitlyn, who she has been compared to in the past, since Bueckers has also received plenty of coverage and is expected to be the first pick in the upcoming WNBA draft. Regardless, Bueckers' comments hold weight considering she recognized the weight that Clark has to carry. A heavy burden that comes with her explosive popularity. Earlier this month, WNBA superstar Caitlyn Clark tried her hand at a new sport, well, at least semi-professionally, that is. She competed in the Pro-Am at the Annika driven by Gainbridge at Pelican Golf Club last week and teed off alongside LPGA star Nelly Korda before sharing the back nine with tournament host Annika Sorenstam. "It was so fun," Clark said after the round. "Getting to see Nelly and Annika do what they do up front, people would pay for that. I got to do it for free and have fun with them. Definitely a fun morning. I feel very thankful that Gainbridge had me out here. Obviously, their support of women's sports is tremendous. Very lucky and fortunate. Hung in there, did all right. It was a good day." Just a week later, Clark was back where she's most comfortable, on the basketball court. She was back in Des Moines, Iowa to watch her former team face off against Drake at the Knapp Center on Sunday afternoon. A photo from the Iowa basketball program showed Clark posing with former Iowa coach Lisa Bluder. Before she teed off in the Pro-Am last week, Clark shared her candid thoughts on sports. "I feel sports unites people," she said. "That's what this feels like, too. It's bringing people together where they can find joy in something. I think that's what is so beautiful about sports and what I really love about it and what I have loved about it my whole life. Some of my best memories from being a kid or spending time with my family or friends have been around sports and how it brings people together. That's exactly what this feels like, and I'm sure I'll remember this for the rest of my life." She's definitely united a fan base and brought a new crop of fans to the game following her historic career at Iowa, where she broke the all-time scoring record.